Virgin Most Powerful Radio, sharing the gospel with clarity and charity.
I'm a soldier for Christ. I'm a soldier for Christ. I'm a soldier. No, they'll never take us under, because we're bringing truth like thunder. Raining on your speakers like a ton of bricks. Hold the cross high, cause we're Catholics. Fight the good fight with the truth. Stand tall with the truth. I'm a warrior for Christ. I'm in love with the truth. Love God, save souls, slay error. Go stronger. Go stronger.
I'll repeat that line again. Love God, save souls, slay error. That's the only reason why Virgin Most Powerful exists, and that's the reason for the Terry and Jesse show. I am reporting for duty. Terry, what about you?
I'm reporting to duty, sir, also, Jesse, and today's show is really special. First of all, I want to remind everybody, this is the debut show after us with Bishop Joseph Strickland from Tyler, Texas. So right after the Terry and Jesse show, his first show will be about the 10 Commandments, and he'll be teaching that every Tuesday here at Virgin Most Powerful Radio. The Bible with the Barbers, they got moved to 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, and we were glad to get moved by the bishop. And I also want to say today's show, Jesse, President Trump is defending America. It's calls about canceling the culture of totalitarianism. It's an electrifying statement he made last weekend. And I want to remind people in this article, so many things he said about about our country that I think needs to be said today, especially. Also, we're going to be talking about Toni McFadden. She's a black woman, and she calls out Planned Parenthood for targeting black babies to death. I mean, think of not only black babies, these guys, the Planned Parenthood, they're killing babies in every major city in the country here. Also, how the Seattle Chop Zone went from to a socialist summer camp to a deadly disaster. Yeah, this is an example of what happens when the police aren't there. Total chaos. Also, Jesse, I've got a good news story coming later in the show. People aren't going to want to miss that. But now, Jesse, we do it every single day here at the Terry and Jesse Show. We give us a soul food, which is the gospel of the day at Holy Mass. So, Jesse, if you could read that gospel reading and give us an explanation, that'd be great.
Here it is.
Yep.
Speak, Lord, your servants are listening. Today's holy gospel according to Matthew chapter 9, verses 32 to 38. Mm-hmm. It says, a demoniac, which, by the way, is another way of saying a possessed person. Okay, a demoniac who could not speak was brought to Jesus. And when the demon was driven out, the mute man spoke. Okay, let me just explain something. Sometimes when a person's possessed, demons, they manifest in three different types of ways. One of the ways that they'll manifest is they'll just shut the possessed person's ability to speak. They'll go mute. And literally, they can't talk. The demon has basically barred their ability to speak entirely. That's what we see here. It says, the crowds were amazed and said, nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel. But the Pharisees said, he drives out demons by the prince of demons. Why are they fascinated? Because the Jews had a ministry of exorcism, but it was very long. It's kind of like the Catholic ritual of exorcism. They used like relics, mm-hmm. They used incense, they would walk around the possessed person in a circle, they would deploy different psalms. And so the Jews, that's what they're expecting from this possessed person. When Jesus confronts them, they say, okay, well, they're going to do a Jewish exorcism on him. But Jesus, all he does is tell the demon to leave in one sentence, and the demon leaves. This is what shocked them. They're saying, wait a minute, nobody has that power. Our great Jewish exorcists take 2 to 3 hours to get a person healed from possession, and this person just said one sentence and they're gone. That's why it says here, but the Pharisee says he drives out demons by the prince of demons. In other words, they're saying there's nobody that can do this. Nobody can operate this fast. This is impossible. This got to be from the evil one. Then it goes on. Jesus went around to all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and curing every disease and illness. At the sight of the crowds, his heart was moved with pity. That word is the same Greek word as mercy. Pity and mercy are the same words. His heart was moved with pity for them because they were troubled and abandoned like sheep without a shepherd. I just want to make one comment. I think our Lord is looking at us right now.
Oh, yeah.
And in many places in the country, he's looking at us with pity because in many places in the Catholic Church, we are shepherdless. So let's keep our eyes on the one true shepherd, which is Jesus Christ. And I think he's looking at us with pity right now. And it says, then he said to his disciples, and by the way, disciples could be you and I. We're not apostles because the definition of an apostle is you had to have been an eyewitness to the life of Christ. We're not eyewitnesses, but we can be called disciples because the word disciple is a Greek word that means we're students of Jesus. Students of Jesus was our teacher. And then our Lord said to the disciples, the harvest is abundant. That means the world is ripe for evangelization. That's what he means. But the labors are few. In other words, there's very few Catholics evangelizing. So our Lord says, so ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest, the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
And that's why we started Virgin Most Powerful, so that we can continue being laborers in this great planet of ours called the harvest. And hopefully we can inspire other men to be laborers in their domestic church. If every man took care of their domestic church and prayed for and fasted and did penance and blessed his family members and did deliverance prayers and prayed the rosary, if every man took care of his domestic church, Terry, we would get rid of virtually most of the problems in society, because most of the problems in society, including the riots, it occurs because men have abdicated their roles as husbands and fathers.
You nailed it, Jesse, and St. John Paul II would confirm you that, and because in 1994 he wrote a letter to families, and he said the way the family goes is the way the culture goes. So you nailed it there, brother. I want to also bring in the smartest guy in the room. Fulton Sheen, full Sheen ahead. Jess, we want to bring people to the Eucharist. We want to bring people to Jesus Christ. That's our whole purpose here. And I love what Sheen says. He says, it's impossible to lose your footing when you're on your knees. Basically, we need to pray. Jess, this idea of not coming to church and praying, I mean, gentlemen, you're not going to get to heaven. People say, oh, God is so merciful, he'll let us in. No. You have free will. You have to choose Jesus, and then you worship God. That's part of how life works. If you don't worship God, what do you think? He's going to let you into heaven just because you're a nice guy? No, that's not how it works. It's the 10 Commandments. That's what we have. That's our what they call the operation manual. If you don't know the 10 Commandments, then listen later today. We'll start a whole new series with Bishop Strickland on the 10 Commandments. Jesse,
Terry, I read yesterday, yeah. I'm almost sure it was on LifeSite News. I could look it up.
Lots of them.
But Bishop Strickland made some very strong comments against Black Lives Matter.
Yes, he did. I have him right here for the show. That's funny, Jesse, because we film on 3 o'clock every Tuesday with him, and I'm bringing that up for him. Go ahead and tell us his comments, Joe, because Jesse.
No, I'm looking him up right now. You probably have him in front of you, don't you?
I do.
I just find that a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
That we have a bishop calling out this communist organization that's usurped the title of a race. It has nothing to do with race, Terry. It's the infiltration of communist revolutionaries into the Catholic Church and into American society.
Yeah, basically what he's saying in this, it was a July 4th tweet. He's basically saying we need to understand that what Black Lives is all about. The real agenda is to go to their website. It's not Christian. It's not Catholic. It's basically he's saying it's a Marxist organization. And Jesse, you could say it, but you're not the bishop. For him to say this out in a tweet, I just thank him for his clarity. That's why we put him on our team here at Virgin Most Powerful, because Jesse, out of 300 bishops, honestly, Jesse, how many of them said that?
Oh, yeah.
Very few. Go ahead.
Terry, and I'll tell you another thing that most people don't realize. I'm looking at another article here on LifeSite.
Yeah.
It says Joe Biden wants Facebook to censor conservatives so he can defeat President Trump. Just so you can know, Terry, here's what we got coming up.
Yep.
President Trump wants free speech, Joe Biden wants to censor conservatives on social media. Yeah. Here's another thing. President Trump is pro-law enforcement. Joe Biden is for defunding law enforcement.
That's right.
His party is as well. And so I could just tell you this. President Trump is for placing conservative justices in the courts. And Joe Biden is for putting in ACLU, liberal progressive lawyers, as justices in the various courts. Terry, the election lines of demarcation could not be clearer.
Yeah.
They cannot be
and Jesse, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about some points that President Trump brought up last weekend about American exceptionalism. And so the point here is President Trump wants to bring back the moral teachings of Christianity. He says we're a Judeo-Christian or a country. And many people, President Obama said, no, we're not. And now Mr. Biden, I would say this. Take a look at the platform of each of the parties, and again, read it, and then ask yourself, what am I going to vote for? Because I think that if Catholics really knew the facts about the election, it'd be hands down. Mr. Biden would never, ever even come close to being the next president. Because what's going to happen is if he gets there, take a look at Seattle. Would you like that to happen? Biden would have that happen in major cities where you live. I don't want that. I hope you don't. So when we come back, President Trump defends America, calls the cancel culture for totalitarianism in an electrifying speech at Mount Rushmore
It's probably one of his best speeches he's ever given.
Well, many people think that it's his best, and I happen to agree.
To me, I'm telling you, when I read that speech and heard it, I said, this guy's on his way into the Catholic Church. I mean, seriously. I said, what's stopping him from conversion?
That was
the way he's talking right now?
Yep.
Wow.
Many others have said the same thing. Michael Vore said the same thing. Mr. Trump, become a Catholic. We need you. We'll be back with much more on the Terry and Jesse Show on Virgin Most Powerful Radio.
Hi, this is Jesse Romero from the Terry and Jesse Show, also from Jesus 911. Let's face it, we all need to use the internet, but we need screen accountability. Why? Pornography is a huge problem, especially on the internet. And every time we tap into the internet, we get bombarded with images and temptations that degrade our humanity. So we need Covenant Eyes to block these pornographic sites and advertisements from infiltrating our lives. Covenant Eyes helps us take custody of our eyes and custody of our intellect. So I recommend you go to covenanteyes.com and type in the promo code VMPR to support the network. Protect yourself and your family from the imminent threats on the internet. www.covenanteyes.com, code VMPR, live porn free. Thank you for listening to Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Thank you. God bless you. Keep the faith.
This is Terry Barber. I want to thank you for supporting Virgin Most Powerful Radio. And here's an easy way to support us by going to smile.amazon.com and type in Catholic Resource Center or Virgin Most Powerful Radio. And when you log in your Amazon account and you purchase products, a portion of it will go right back in supporting Virgin Most Powerful Radio. And it doesn't cost you a dime. I want to thank you ahead of time because that supports us year-round. May God bless you and your family. This is Terry Barber. I want to thank you for your support here at Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Here's an easy way to do it. If you're going to sell or buy a house, call Real Estate for Life, 877-543-3871, because they're going to get you a Christ-centered agent to purchase your home or to sell your home. And at the close of escrow, a portion of his commission goes right back to Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Call 877-543-3871. Thank you so much for your support.
Welcome back to the Terry and Jesse Show. To join the conversation, call 888-526-2151. Now, here's Terry and Jesse.
President Trump defends America. He calls the cancel culture totalitarianism.
Yep.
In what I would consider his best speech he's ever given. It was very measured, very tempered. It was at Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
And in that speech, I know he infuriated the liberal media.
Oh, big time.
Because the president warned that there's a merciless campaign to wipe out our history.
Yep.
To defame our heroes, erase our values.
He's right.
And indoctrinate our children.
Yep.
And he decried the new far-left fascism that demands absolute allegiance. We want to play a minute and a half of that speech. Mr. Engineer, can you play that clip? Until the clip comes on, I'll just keep on talking until Rich plays it.
Yep.
So President Trump...
I am here as your president to proclaim before the country and before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. Their legacy will never, ever be destroyed. Their achievements will never be forgotten. And Mount Rushmore will stand forever as an eternal tribute to our forefathers and to our freedom. Those who seek to erase our heritage want Americans to forget our pride and our great dignity so that we can no longer understand ourselves or America's destiny. My fellow Americans, it is time to speak up loudly and strongly and powerfully and defend the integrity of our country. We will proclaim the ideals of the Declaration of Independence. America's future is in our hands. And ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come.
Wow, that's amazing.
Terry, that's...
Woo! Speak up, he says. Speak up, everybody.
That's exactly what he says. I can just imagine the angels and saints in heaven, Terry.
Yeah.
I mean, just rejoicing that a president of the most powerful country in the world speaks with such faith and such precision. And I'll tell you, Terry, this 4th of July, we have to remember, and Rich reminded me, our engineer, he goes, Jess, we got to quit calling it 4th of July celebration. And he's right. He says, because, 4th of July, 5th of July, 6th, this is Independence Day.
That's right.
This is when we became independent of tyranny, of English tyranny.
That's right.
And so we forget that we've been brainwashed to say, oh, happy 4th of July. Rich is right. Forget saying 4th of July. This is July 4th, 1776, and we broke with the English crown, and we no longer were subject to that type of tyranny. So, but going on to this article, Terry.
Yes.
President Trump salutes, and First Lady Melania Trump places her hand on her heart as the U.S. Air Force Academy concert band performed the national anthem during the celebration at Mount Rushmore at the National Memorial in Keystone, South Dakota. What a beautiful state. I fell in love with that state just listening to the governor, and she was just so inviting. Hey, anybody want to move on over here? Come on down. Standing at the foot of the majestic Mount Rushmore on the eve of Independence Day, and amid thunderous cheers and chants of USA, USA, President Trump delivered a reassuring message. That's what it is, Terry. This is what the country needed to hear.
We need
a reassuring, fatherly message.
That's right.
Counteracting weeks of anti-American protests, riots, and assaults, not only on the country's historical monuments, but on history itself. And I think that's the best line in the article, is that, Terry, because the president is like the father figure of a country.
That's right.
And people are protected through patriarchy, according to Catholic theology. And this is what we needed to hear this weekend of Independence Day.
Yeah, and Jesse, I love what he said. He announced that he'll be creating a new monument to the giants of our past. He says, I'm signing an executive order to establish the National Garden of American Heroes, a vast outdoor park that will feature the statues of the greatest Americans to ever live, he said. And Jesse, he called it, it sounds like he would fit really well with Virgin Most Powerful Radio. I'm serious when he said this. He said, our children are being taught in school to hate their own country. I say that all the time. It's horrible. And now this has been going on for so many years. Now it's coming home to roost. He said the president pointed out that the VMBM we have seen in the streets of the cities that are run by, he called it for what it is, Jesse, liberal Democrats in every case, is the predictable result of years of extreme indoctrination and bias in education, journalism, and other cultural institutions. Jesse, he says, against every law of society and nature, our children are being taught in school to hate their own country and to believe that men and women who built it were not heroes, but that they were villains, said Trump. The radical view of American history is a web of lies. All perspective is removed. Every virtue is obscured. Every motive is twisted. Every fact is distorted. And every flaw is magnified until the history is purged and the record is disfigured beyond all recognition. He described perfectly what's going on in our schools.
Terry, and I'll tell you, but people are, you could see the patriotism in some people. It hasn't been destroyed entirely. I'm looking at a poll here.
Okay.
It says a new poll shows that 91% of high schoolers have a favorable view of American flag, despite what they're taught.
Yeah.
And once in college, patriotism starts to erode, with 73% of students having a favorable view of the stars and stripes.
Yeah.
Likewise, 63% of high schoolers in America report feeling proud of America, with just 40% of college students feel the same way. So as you go from high school to college, the patriotism starts dwindling. We start seeing that. And I'll tell you, Terry, here's some of the hypocrisy that we see on the left. The former NFL football player Colin Kaepernick, he called Independence Day a celebration of white supremacy. Okay, but look, here's the hypocrisy. But when Barack Obama was president in 2011, Colin Kaepernick tweeted and said, "Happy 4th of July, everyone. I hope everyone has a blessed day." So why is it that Colin Kaepernick, this former football player, under Barack Obama, he says, "Happy 4th of July. I hope everybody has a blessed day." And under President Trump, he says, "This is a day of white supremacy."
You just answered your question. Yeah. You just answered your question. It was Trump or Obama. There you go. Hey, Jesse, one of the things that President Trump talked about is American exceptionalism. And when I was young, that was
the best
taught.
part.
It is. Just going. There's bullets here that I think we need to talk about. So he says, number one, we declare that the United States of America is the most just and exceptional nation ever to exist on earth. Now, Jesse, there's a reason for him to say that. What other nation has a track record like ours in 200 years? I'll just give one example. We won the war in World War II. We could have taken over Japan, right? One of the largest industries in the world. We didn't. We rebuilt them and gave them complete freedom to have independence of their own nation. That's one example. What about Germany? We were ready to, we could have taken them over. That's just 75 years ago. But we have helped more countries in the world than anyone else. And why? I say freedom, Jesse. When you have total freedom, you can be free to make decisions. And that's why we're exceptional, because our Constitution did something that no other one did, that told us that our rights come from God, not from man.
Yeah, that's the difference between our Constitution and every other constitution on planet Earth.
Yep.
Ours makes reference to God.
Yep.
And like just like you said, and other constitutions, they're Marxist, secular documents where it doesn't extol the dignity of man. Right. And so they treat man just like widgets on a conveyor belt.
Yep.
But our Constitution, actually, Terry, it's based on the Judeo-Christian view of man.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, that's the second bullet. He says here, President Trump, he said this thunderously and without apology. He said, "We are proud of the fact that our country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, and we understand that these values have dramatically advanced the cause of peace and justice throughout the world."
Wow. He also,
third bullet.
Yeah, third bullet. We know that the American family is the bedrock of American life. Did he read St. John Paul II's letter to the families in 19...
Again, he talks very Catholic,
Terry. That's why I'm saying it. I'm making a little fun. No, he didn't. But, common sense can tell you that the way the family goes is the way the culture goes. Next bullet.
Terry, and Black Lives Matter, in their mission statement, they want to redefine the family.
That's right.
They want to destroy patriarchy.
You got it.
And again, this country was based on family. That's the bedrock of American life. Fourth bullet.
Yep.
We recognize the solemn right and moral duty of every nation to secure its borders. We are building the wall. I mean, that's right in line with St. Thomas Aquinas' view on immigration and the Catechism of the Catholic
do you have the quote from the
2241.
Catechism? Thank you. Quote that Catechism verse, because I think it's interesting that much of what he's saying is just right out of our Catechism or biblical teachings. And again, Jesse, if you would have told me 5 years ago that there was a guy coming, his name is Donald Trump, and he's going to do X, Y, and Z, and this was a playboy, this was a businessman, I would have said, are you kidding me? Wait, what have you been drinking, dude? But you know what, Jesse? I believe that God has inspired this man to make those comments. But talking about the right to secure its borders, what's the Catechism have to say on that, Jess?
Terry, it's kind of long, but the bottom line, it says, rich nations should help poor nations.
That's right.
Point number two, it says
we have a right to regulate.
All nations are required or allowed to make their own immigration laws. Right. And point number three, it says immigrants, legal or illegal, have to obey the nation that takes them in.
Right.
That's essentially the 3
Yeah,
points.
the wording I remember because I memorized it is regulating its border. In other words, it decides who comes in, who can't.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
That's the second bullet.
That's right.
Every country has the right to make its own immigration law.
Let's get to the next one, Jess.
Yeah, the next one is, we remember that government exists to protect the safety and happiness of their own people. A nation must care for its own citizens first. We must take care of America first. It's time.
Yeah, and Jesse, an example of that is these riots, okay? President Trump is saying, I'll send in the National Guard, but you just have to ask me if you need help to protect your citizens in your state. And what's happening is many of the liberal governors aren't calling in. They're saying, let them go in Seattle. Let them run their own shoot, the store. Give them time to, burn up all the city. And then they come, what the irony is, Jesse? He tells them, I'm going to help you. And they don't. They don't ask for help. And then after they have millions and millions of dollars of damage, they go to the federal government and say, we need funding. And you know what I would say? And I've heard that the government is saying that, the federal government, hey, dude, you made your own bed, now sleep in it. See, that's what Trump is asking people to do, be more accountable. And I think that's one of the reasons they hate him, because he's not a sugar daddy or, let's say, Santa Claus and just giving money out for no reason.
Yep, and I'll tell you, the only reason they stopped the
Seattle or what?
The Seattle takeover because blacks started getting killed within that chop zone.
Yep.
So they said, "Oops! Oh no! We better stop this because blacks were getting killed."
Yep. Jesse, when we come back, we'll continue on the list of President Trump about America. Folks, I want to remind you, after today's show, you won't have the Bible with the Barbers. They're moving to Thursdays at 8 a.m. You're going to have Bishop Strickland's first show on the Ten Commandments. We'll be back with much more on the Terry and Jesse Show on Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Help the Helpless, a Minnesota St. Paul nonprofit organization chaired by Father of Tyr and volunteers, is humbly asking you for your kind support to help the poor and the handicapped children in India and Ecuador. Through financial support from the Help of the Helpless benefactors, the children are provided with clothing, food, education, shelter, and the teachings of the Catholic Church. The mission is to help children thrive and become self-sufficient young adults leading productive lives. We also provide aid to poor families in Ecuador with food baskets, medicines, medical assistance, and help with funeral needs for the deceased. The work in India is done by Father Antonio's organization, St. Mary's. In Ecuador, the work is being done by the Servant Sisters of the Home of Mother. You can call us at 877-762-8857. To learn more, please visit our website, www.helpthehelpless.org. God bless you.
Healthcare news today seems to be coming from everywhere and everyone. It's confusing at least and untrustworthy at the worst. Dr. Aceta is a faithful Catholic in the Kern County community. He is trustworthy, well-researched, and will only give expert opinion on matters in his own specialty. Catholic teaching at its entirety is of utmost importance to Dr. Aceta. Give Dr. Aceta a call for your obstetrics and gynecological needs at 661-695-6617.
This is Terry Barber. I want to thank you for your support here at Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Here's an easy way to do it. If you're going to sell or buy a house, call Real Estate for Life, 877-543-3871, because they're going to get you a Christ-centered agent to purchase your home or to sell your home. And at the close of escrow, a portion of his commission goes right back to Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Call 877-543-3871. Thank you so much for your support.
Welcome back to the Terry and Jesse Show. To join the conversation, call 888-526-2151. Now, here's Terry and Jesse.
President Trump gave one of the most inspirational speeches over the weekend at Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
We want to just share a couple of things from that speech as well. Then we got a short little video of a black woman by the name of Toni McFadden, who calls out Planned Parenthood for their targeting black babies for death. It's a short clip, but let's just make up some final comments about President Trump and this weekend, Terry, about especially the section where he talks about American exceptionalism. Here's another bullet of his speech. He says, "We believe in equal opportunity, equal justice, and equal treatment for citizens of every race, background, religion, and creed. Every child of every color, born and unborn, is made in the holy image of God." With those words, President Trump essentially said, all lives matter.
Yeah, and he said that at the March for Life, which is the only president that said that ever. Not even Reagan said that.
The only president that showed up at the March.
Right, and so he really is for the unborn. He's willing to say that. He also says, the one I really like is this, that we support the courageous men and women of law enforcement. We will never abolish our police or our great Second Amendment, which gives us a right to keep and bear arms. Now, Jesse, I've always said this. I'm a Second Amendment guy. I love it because I want to be able to protect my family. If the cop can't protect me and can't get there, who's going to stop the bad guy to getting my wife and children? That's me. That's why I want to be able to have a Second Amendment and have a firearm at home, because I want to protect my family. And I appreciate that because, Jesse, there's a movement. Can you imagine, Jesse, if we didn't have the Second Amendment and the bad guys were running through towns, who's going to stop them if the police can't?
Nobody. But you saw the ones over there on Chop in Seattle.
I did.
They had AR-15s. They're walking around the street around that little 6 blocks that they took over with semi-automatic assault rifles.
That's
Terry.
true. That they did.
I mean, this is an open public. So realistically, they outgunned the police department.
Yep.
And so, this is why the Second Amendment is
critical.
Is critical because this is what the communists and Nazis did before they took over the country.
Take your guns away.
They took everybody's gun away. Here's the next bullet. President Trump says, "We want free and open debate, not speech codes and cancel culture." Again, I can see why the liberals just went crazy, Terry.
Yes.
On CNN, it was predictable. The New York Times, Washington Post, I mean, all the usual suspects of the liberal media, they slammed the president's patriotic speech precisely because it's patriotic.
You know, I got more points, but let me just ask a question. When are we going to have the debates with President Trump and Joe Biden? Because I'm going to tell you, Jesse, let's get these debates and let's lay all this out so that the American public can make a decision. He also said this, and I believe this, that we believe that our children should be taught to love their country, honor our history, and I like this, Jesse, respect our great American flag. I've seen too many times where people are burning flags and it's like, no big deal. Wait a minute, it is a big deal. It's a symbol of our freedom. They shouldn't happen.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, you'll find very few schools that are going to adhere to what President Trump just said right now.
Yep.
You're going to have to really search high and low. And that's why even if you send your kids to a public school, because whatever circumstance, you have to make sure that you're catechizing them and teaching them the truth when they get home. You got to ask them, okay, what are you studying? What's your homework? What did you learn today? And you've got to have a conversation with your children as they're growing up, because if not, the culture of death, public school or education in our country, it'll completely destroy any patriotism and destroy any seeds of faith that you're planting.
Jesse, I got to say this one really touched my heart. He said, we stand tall, we stand proud, and we only kneel to Almighty God, not to the almighty dollar, not to the government. But I mean, to me, that's honoring.
And what he's making a reference to here is
the
Black Lives Matter people.
That's
many
right.
blacks were making white people in public, and this is all recorded. This is all over the internet.
Yep.
They're making white people kneel down to them, and white people are. This is
tyranny.
The violation of the first commandment.
That's right.
And this is the worst form of humiliation and bigotry and hatred, making another human being kneel before you. And so this is what he's telling them. You got to kneel down in front of me because of your white privilege. Oh, okay. Oh, and if you got money in your pocket, this is being recorded.
Yeah.
Forever.
That's right.
So he's telling Americans, come on, wake up, smell the coffee. We kneel only to God. And I mean, he's saying this as a Protestant, and I'm glad to hear him say this because, kneeling is a very Catholic posture.
Absolutely.
And Protestants aren't real big on kneeling, so I was glad for him to say that.
Absolutely. Jesse, I think I'm going to make a prediction that President Trump will become Catholic before God calls him home. It's too many indications. He's speaking too much in Catholic terms. Now, he says this.
There's too much Catholic speak here.
It is. Now, he says, my fellow Americans, it is time to speak up loudly, strongly, and powerfully to defend the integrity of our country. We will proclaim the ideals of what? The Declaration of Independence. We will never surrender the spirit and courage and the cause of our July 4th, 1776. Jesse, did you hear that?
And then he said, Terry, and ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come.
He always says that. I love that line. The best is yet to come.
See, that's a person, Terry, who's got an eternal vision.
Oh,
he knows about the finality, death, judgment, heaven, and hell.
Yeah, well said. And, Jesse, I like what he says, the Declaration of Independence. Many people like to use that document, as President Obama used to say, it's like a changing document. That's not what President Trump believes. Yeah, that's not what we believe. And I think that he's getting us back to our roots. And I think that America is going to be stronger, please God, when he gets to become the next 4 years as our president. More can be done. He's already picked over 200 judges for life that are going to be helping us stay on course of a moral order. What do you think is going to happen the next 4 years? I say it again, Jesse, the Supreme Court justices. He's going to pick people who are going to be pro-life. And I guarantee you, if Joe Biden is there, you know what? In our lifetime, Jess, I kiss it goodbye. Roe versus Wade will be safe. And if President Trump comes in, it will not be safe. Just like the Judge Scott decision of the 1870s was wrong about black people not being human. They were wrong. The Supreme Court said they were. Okay, unborn babies are babies. And the Supreme Court was wrong in 1973, October, I should say the 22nd of January. They made that terrible decision. And President Trump is the key in making that decision be reversed. And millions of babies can come into this life here because of that decision. That's how important this election is, Jess.
Terry, and the people from Los Angeles showed some courage, speaking about, President Trump is calling us to be courageous.
Yeah.
In L.A., the residents defied the fireworks ban that was issued by Mayor Garcetti.
Yep.
The city looked like
lit up.
It looked like a war zone, Terry.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, on Saturday night, the sky across the entire city of L.A., it was stunning. It was lit up with fireworks for the Independence Day. And so the people of L.A. said, you know what? We're not going to listen to you. Hey, Terry, I want to go through this short clip.
Let's do it.
Mr. Engineer, can you play the short clip from Toni McFadden, a black woman who calls out Planned Parenthood?
You got it.
It's time to wake up to the genocide facing the Black community. Planned Parenthood is lying to us. We have always been their target from day one. We can no longer ignore the legacy and evil of Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, who saw Black people as an inferior race, scum, and human weeds that needed to be exterminated. Sadly, her legacy and agenda still lives on. 20 million Black babies' hearts have stopped beating because of abortion since Roe v. Wade passed in 1973. In New York City alone, more Black babies are being aborted than being born alive. We can no longer turn a blind eye. 80% of abortion clinics are strategically placed in minority and low-income areas. Black women, we are 5 times more likely to have an abortion than white women. The number one killer in the Black community is not Black-on-Black crime, not police brutality, not guns, not drugs, not heart disease or cancer. It is the direct and intentional killing of a human life inside the Black woman's womb. Planned Parenthood has been clever with their language, using words like healthcare, family planning, reproductive act, and the most popular, a woman's right to choose. This is to hide the reality that they stand for destruction and death. They cover up the fact that their original intentions were to destroy us by convincing us to kill off our own children. I was once uneducated about the lies of abortion, and I ended the life of my child when I was 18 years old. It took me years to acknowledge the regret, the shame, and the guilt of that decision. If I had the chance to go back, I would give my baby life in a heartbeat. I am no longer uneducated about the lies of abortion and Planned Parenthood's deception. I have dedicated my life to defending the most innocent among us and letting all women, but especially Black women and men, know the truth about abortion. Planned Parenthood, your time is up. Stop telling Black women we need abortion. Stop telling us that killing our babies is our only option. Stop telling us that our babies are not valuable. Black women, Black men, join me in exposing the lies of abortion and ending this Black genocide. We can no longer let this injustice continue. We are not inferior. We are valuable. We are not incapable. We are strong. Your voice is needed.
Wow. Well said.
Now, I want to give Pope John Paul II the last word. He said this, St. John Paul II, quote, "If you want equal justice for all and true freedom and lasting peace, then America, defend life."
Amen. When we come back, we're going to have the story on how Seattle Chop Zone went from socialist summer camp to a deadly disaster.
Summer camp.
Yeah, that's what they call this thing. Give me a break. And also, I want to remind everybody.
You want to send your kids there for the summer, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Remind you, after the show, we have Bishop Joseph Strickland Hour starting on Virgin Most Powerful. This is the debut day. Join us. If you can't get it on your station yet, over 100 stations are picking it up. Then get the app or go to virginmostpowerfulradio.org and pull down the free app. You can listen to it anywhere in the world. We'll be right back. The Terry and Jesse Show, Virgin Most Powerful Radio.
In Luke 7, Jesus said, "I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven her, because she has been shown great love." According to St. John of the Cross, Christians should always remember that the value of their good works is not based on number and excellence. Their value is based on the love for God that prompts them to do the works. May we always be motivated by true love for God and not worry so much about what we do, but why we do it.
How does the baby move in your tummy? How does the baby eat? Can the baby hear me? How did the baby get in there?
Wow, a pregnancy can sure generate a lot of questions. But what's important is that a baby is a baby, inside and out of the womb. Not just after birth, but 9 months before. at conception.
That's right. Every baby is a miracle. Hello, my name is Marianne Koharski. I'm the director of Pro-Life Across America. If you know someone who is pregnant or in need of alternatives or assistance or would like to support the work of Pro-Life Across America, please visit our website at prolifeacrossamerica.org, or better yet, simply dial pound 250 on your cell phone and say the keyword pro-life. Pro-Life Across America is non-political and totally educational.
A baby's heart is beating 18 days from conception. Pro-life across America, the Billboard people.
This is Terry Barber. I want to thank you for your support here at Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Here's an easy way to do it. If you're going to sell or buy a house, call Real Estate for Life, 877-543-3871, because they're going to get you a Christ-centered agent to purchase your home or to sell your home. And at the close of escrow, a portion of his commission goes right back to Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Call 877-543-3871. Thank you so much for your support.
Welcome back to the Terry and Jesse Show. To join the conversation, call 888-526-2151. Now, here's Terry and Jesse.
This is the most timely book that I've ever written. It's called A Catholic Vote for Trump. We have to get this right. November's around the corner. And if some of you are on the fence as to why we should vote for Trump, I give you all the reasons why there is no other choice in November.
And Jesse, let me jump in there, tell people how they can get that. Go to jesseromero.com. I mean, they can get it on Amazon, but go right to Jess and get that. And Jesse, my good news story is probably in your book also. The Trump top law enforcement officer supports Idaho banning men from women's sports. In other words, the Attorney General William Barr wrote, representing the Trump Justice Department, that men and women have to have separate sports. Why? Because that's the way it should be. But you know what? Common sense isn't that common. But again, Jesse, I believe that the liberal Democrats would have said, well, why not? If you want to be a man and you're a woman, then go ahead and do what you got to do.
Well, that's exactly why they want to get him out. Because they know that his judicial appointments, I'm not saying they're all going to be perfect. I mean, we're going to have some,
a lot better than the other
we're going to have some heartache in some, but most of the decisions are going to rule on the side of common sense. Most of them.
Absolutely. Just
and I'll take Terry. I'll take 90%.
Absolutely.
And I'll basically stomach the 10% bad decisions made by the.
Well, remember Monsignor William Smith, the moral theologian for Cardinal O'Connor, taught me 30 years ago at least, that when you make a decision on voting, you have to look at it almost like a football game. Who's going to move the football closer to a first down or a touchdown? Because there's no perfect candidate unless the Blessed Mother or St. Joseph or Jesus is running. They're not running. So look at who's going to move it closer for your Catholic morality. And right now, it's a slam dunk, man, as far as I'm concerned. If you don't trust me, go to the party platforms. Go to Priest for Life. Father Frank Pavone has it on his website and in English and in Spanish. Share it with your friends because we need to get this election right, because our whole Catholic faith in this country is really relying on a good decision to be made, because think of the babies that are not going to be born if we vote for abortion. And you know what, Jesse? I'm going to be honest with people. I know I'm over the top. You participate in that abortion by voting for a Democrat party. I said it. You know why? It's true, Jesse.
Yep, it's in the catechism. You can't participate, aid, abet, counsel, approve of somebody else's sin. If you do, their sin becomes your sin. Terry, and again, Trump's court appointees are making an effect.
Yep.
They're making an effect. Again, they're not batting 100%. They're batting like 90% because the U.S. Supreme Court just struck down the Blaine Amendment, the bigotry of the Blaine Amendment. This was there was a prohibition. Essentially, here's Chief Justice John Roberts says, the prohibition before us today burdens not only religious schools but also the families whose children attend or hope to attend them. So the U.S. Supreme Court essentially paves the way for parental choice for their children's education. We didn't have parental choice. It was called the Blaine Amendment.
That's right.
Which did not allow this. Well, this was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. So again, Why is this happening? Because President Trump is putting justices that are much more conservative and strict constitutionalist
There you go.
than the left would.
You nailed it.
But let's go, Terry,
Let's get to it, Jess. Yeah.
How the Seattle Chop Zone went from a socialist summer camp
What a headline.
to deadly disaster. President Trump calls the families of teens that were killed in the lawless Seattle Chop Zone. What a classy president.
Yep.
Calls them up, Terry.
Yeah.
When protesters first took over Seattle's Capitol Hill district last month, supporters pitched it as something of a socialist summer camp, movie nights under the stars, free food, a sidewalk library, and no cops. But the leaderless 6-block zone, known as Chaz back then, or Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, before it was renamed CHOP for Capitol Hill Occupation Protest. It quickly spiraled into violence and chaos, culminating in a pair of shootings that killed 2 black teens.
No surprise.
And so on Wednesday, a Seattle mayor, Jenny Durkham,
finally,
it was after her house was visited by these anarchists.
Yeah.
That's when she finally issued an emergency order for the police to take back the streets and clear out the protesters who had been camped out there for nearly a month. And this was a stunning reversal, or should I say an act of hypocrisy by Mayor Durkham.
Yep.
Because she originally compared CHOP, she said, it's a block party atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
And she also says, it's like the summer of love. But things changed, Terry, when she was visited by these anarchists right in front of her house. Then everything changed.
You know, Jesse, we have a short amount of time, but I love the part in the article that says 2 African-American men are dead at the place where they claim to be working for Black Lives Matter, but they're gone. They're dead now. The same day, Durkin announced plans to finally dismantle CHOP, issued her vacate order just before 5 a.m. Wednesday. This is all it would take, Jesse. The police, outfitted in riot gear, armed with batons and tactical vehicles, arrived on the scene, giving protesters 8 minutes to clear out. And they meant it. The cops used bicycles to push the protesters back about 5 feet at a time, while warning them about possible use of chemical weapons, according to the My Northwest. Then they began tearing down tents, wooden barricades. I mean, the city came in and cleaned it all up. Jesse, all of this, all those deaths, the police arrested 31 people, charging them failure for disperse. Okay, I get all that. But here's the bottom line, Jess. Enough's enough. And so while you allow these people to act like this, you're giving that example that bad actions have no bad results. And that's a bad message to give out to America, not only to Seattle, but our guys in L.A. that got arrested for shoplifting and looting and doing all kinds of horrible things. 1,200 people got arrested. What did the government officials say? Well, we're not going to prosecute. Yes, if you're not going to prosecute, if I was a cop and I did all that, I'd say, what am I doing? Why am I arresting them if they're just going to get out the next day? See, that's a problem. And I think President Trump is upset as we are that we need law and order.
You got the mayor and the chief of police. They're at odds with each other here in the city.
Oh, yeah. And you're not kidding.
Because the mayor basically is the chief's boss. And the mayor told the chief initially to stand down. And
that's not good.
In fact, they even allowed them to take over the East Precinct on June 8th. They took over an entire police precinct. And by the way, that neighborhood is already very well known for being an LGBT-friendly neighborhood that had a vibrant nightlife, if you know what I mean. But Police Chief Carmen Bess, she later made it clear. I'm almost positive she's a black police chief. I think I saw her picture. She made it clear that it was not her choice to stand down and to allow these guys to run roughshod through the city. And so she was blasting the city's leaders. Basically, she was blasting the mayor for relenting to severe public pressure. The police chief, Carmen Bess, said, I'm angry about how all this came about. She was fuming. And here's what's horrible, Terry, that the protesters, the night when they took over the city, the protesters were led by who? A councilwoman.
Unbelievable.
Her name was Shama Sawant.
Yep.
Shama Sawant. I don't know if that's Muslim, Indian. I don't know if that's black. I'm not sure. Shama Sawant. I'd have to look at her picture. But she led the protesters that night. They invaded City Hall before retreating and invading the East Precinct. I don't know if she still has her job, but she should immediately have been fired by the mayor for leading people in a protest to trash City Hall and a police station. And it says here, with cops gone from the area, protesters took over, erecting barriers, spray painting the precinct sign to read Seattle People Department. They set up a no-cop co-op zone with free food, organizing political discussions, and erecting a giant memorial in honor of Floyd and other people of color killed by police in recent years. But of course, Terry, the peace didn't last that long because their movement comes from Satan.
Absolutely.
And so as a result of that, you could see that there was fist fights immediately. There was guys, one self-appointed black rapper who was carrying an assault rifle. He was acting like as the warlord. He was like the supposed leader of that leaderless movement. You had graffiti all over the 6 blocks. Again, violence showing robberies and fist fights. You had white counterparts forking over $10 to the black demonstrators. And of course, Terry, can you imagine being a businessman there? The business owners within that district, they've already filed lawsuits.
Good.
Because their constitutional rights were violated. The police did not respond, and that's their job according to the mayor.
And Jesse, the same thing happened in Detroit 40, 50 years ago, and it never recovered. And the people in Seattle are going to have a similar problem on their hands. This is basically what we can expect if we have the wrong person in the White House.
If
Jesse.
If Biden wins.
If Biden wins, this is going to continue in your hometown, in my opinion.
This is going to be the new normal.
Yep. And I want to remind folks, just a quick note, in a couple of minutes, we're going to have our show end. Bishop Joseph Strickland, one I consider one of the greatest bishops in America, is going to be starting his show on the 10 Commandments. I can't wait to have it come on. I got my Mr. Engineer. There's a Lance on the line right now. If we can get him on for a minute or two, he's opposing what we say. I want to have opposing sides. Is Lance on the line? Put him on if he is. But Jesse, this is important for us at Virgin Most Powerful. We started 3 years ago, and we now have the best bishop in the country who's willing to speak out in many terms, also to teach the fundamental teachings. It's a great opportunity. If you can't listen on your station, get our app by going to Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Is Lance on the line? He texted me, and I said, yeah, come on, Lance. Call. He didn't call, Jess. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Terry, this all I could say is this: what we need in this country is patriarchy, right order, right male order based on God the Father and everything else that God the Father has given us.
Right.
Anarchy comes from Satan. That's exactly what Satan wants. And a lot of people, Terry, that are promoting this anarchy, they don't realize it, but they're actually tools of Satan.
Jesse, I always ask you this question, brother. What state should we be living in? I hope it's not the deep state, brother. What state?
Not the deep state and not the state of mortal sin.
Yeah.
We want to live, regardless of what 50 state you live in, live in a state of grace in your soul and don't live in the state of mortal sin. Stand up for Jesus with your lives, with your lips, and with your love. Life is short. Remember, by the time you drop dead, leave it all out in the field.
Well said. And I just want to remind people, we're painting our chapel, the Sacred Heart Chapel. If you want to help us financially, call us at 877-526-2151. May God richly bless you, and put your seatbelts on. Bishop Joseph Strickland's coming on, folks. A great bishop of our church. He'll be here at Virgin Most Powerful every Tuesday after the Terry and Jesse show. This is the first debut show. You won't want to miss it. He's talking on some straight talk Catholicism on Virgin Most Powerful Radio. May God richly bless you and your family.
Saint Faustina's Prayer for Priests. O my Jesus, I beg thee on behalf of the whole church, grant it love and the light of thy Spirit, and give power to the words of priests, so that hardened hearts might be brought to repentance and return to thee, O Lord. Lord, give us holy priests. Thou thyself maintain them in holiness. O divine and great high priest, may the power of thy mercy accompany them everywhere, and protect them from the devil's traps and snares, which are continually being set for the souls of priests. May the power of thy mercy, O Lord, shatter and bring to naught all that might tarnish the sanctity of priests. For thou canst do all things. Amen. Virgin most powerful, pray for us.